Yo, Bad Fast. Yo, James Rohrbach. There he is. Yeah, I had like a little like weird. It didn't let me go live. It like was slow hangy ball there for like a minute and a half. So I don't know. Maybe we had a semi outage in the area, but here we are. So welcome. I'm so glad to see you all. Welcome to another exciting broadcast. All right. Okay. Well, nice to see you guys. Thanks for coming out. We'll give it a few minutes. Hope everybody's weather is doing wonderful. Our days are nice. They're not summer yet, but it's nice. It's nice to see things blooming. Cut the lawn about three times this year now, so things are out of their dormancy and they are springing to life here in Michigan, folks. They're springing to life. I got a thing poking me here. Good to see Trey Farmsteed. Nice to see you, Tracy. It's always great to see you. Yeah, but things are starting to come to life here in Michigan, much like they are probably everywhere in the Midwest, in the upper Midwest. My cherry blossom tree already bloomed and like it already fully bloomed and went away. It was like right away. I think it was because we had the 80-degree and then like a 75-degree followed up by it. And I think it was like, here we come. And it like went boom and then it got a little cold and it went away. But it's a beautiful tree when it blooms. I can tell you that. It's nice. Oh, man. Yes, James. I am been on a torrid Def Leppard kick lately. I watched a documentary and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I got to go watch everything they did. It's interesting, man. They got a, they signed with Mutt Lang. If you know anything about music, I mean, Mutt Lang he produced a lot of great artists and he latched onto them and look what he did. So, but you know how documentaries are. You get the inside story on them and then you start to get to know the character and then you see shades of yourself within people in the movie and you're like connecting. It's like, okay, I get it. These guys were global rock stars, but the part, well, people often forget is that they are human. A lot of them are human. Unlike the Satanist cabal worshiping left, and that's not all of them, but let's not forget that it was pointed out to us that they openly worship Satan. They openly worship Satan. Openly. So that is very much a satanic agenda that was coming to take over not only America, but the world. But more to that. So cool. Well, tip the beer. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for coming out on this beautiful Tuesday evening. Spring has sprung. This time of year, it always reminds me of when I was growing up. There was always like this ritual that we would do every spring, basically when the weather started getting nice. And it was basically go out and tackle the lawn. And, it's something that I hated every year, but it was really maybe 2 days, but mostly one and a half days. And it's when you went out there and you took care of what needed to be taken care of. And, it's one of those feelings that it just feels great once you're through with it. Like after you cut the lawn, but This year, I'll be honest, I needed a little bit of help in my yard. I had to hire I had to hire some help to come out and take care of a few things because I got a lot on my plate right now, which, whatever. It is what it is. But I care how the yard looks, so I had to hire some help to come in and kind of get into my landscaping a little bit, and got them doing that. And I feel great about it. I wish I had more time to do it, but because I've talked about this before. It's super therapeutic. Like I actually love getting out there and working in the yard, but when it's what I have to take on to do, I don't have time to do it. I just can't do it. Not this year. I can't. There's no way. Anyway, that's for my mental health, by the way, because I don't think I could take that on too. But it does feel great. I do cut the yard still. I do all my weed whipping, all that stuff, take care of the other stuff. But it's good to get out in the yard though, right? You farmers out there appreciate that. You love that. I think that's maybe in part why you do it too. Oh, because Wallace said you will taste the love and you will taste the life. And that's another reason. And I believe that. It's true. So we got some different cold weather. 33. I know, man. You're in Mississippi. But my heart's in Mississippi. 33 degrees in Mississippi. You haven't mowed your grass this year. Wow. Really? Seriously, up here 3 times. 3 times. 3 times. So we'd get out there, we'd take care of the yard, we'd edge it, we'd cut all the bushes, trim everything back, load it up, walk away feeling good. Because really at that point, you put the 1 to 2 days of good work into the yard, and it's pretty much maintenance the rest of the year, right? It's pretty much maintenance. Pretty much maintenance, which maintenance I can handle. I'll handle the maintenance, no problem. It's funny. It's funny that we started talking about they openly worship Satan, because kind of going back and looking into not really so much looking back into the prior posts, but really kind of reflecting. I do like to do that. I think about some of those ones that have been, stated so many times and are relevant, like nothing can stop what is coming. That is very much just every day out of your mouth. Nothing can stop what is coming. You're watching a movie. What does it take to make a great movie? Rhetorical. The answer is great actors. Or go one further and say very, very motivated actors. Very, very motivated actors. Very, very motivated. People would be surprised at what a person can do when given the proper motivation. And that can come in many forms. It can come in many, many forms, the proper motivation. So what if you were about to lose everything in your life because you were into some haberdashery? Huh? Hey, some haberdashery and some bullshit back in the day. Whatever it is, they got you. They got you blackmailed. They got you by the balls. They got you. They just simply have you. Popcorn. Yeah, great movie. Great actors. Popcorn. Definitely. So the people are given the proper motivation. And it turns out that I think a lot of people that are senators and people that are within politics have turned into phenomenal actors because they are fighting for maybe their freedom, or like I've said in the past, maybe their existence to not have their family tied up into corrupt legal battles. They don't take it out on the family. You quietly go away. I don't know like exactly what they work out, but whatever it is, it's turning them into phenomenal actors. And that's another one of those that was just kind of laid into us. So, but one that I was thinking about when I was talking about earlier and I was reflecting on was one that we've spoke about before, but it certainly is a bombshell of one of the drops because it was repeated multiple times. And it kind of ties into the whole thing about these people openly worship Satan. And that is symbolism will be their downfall. Symbolism is going to be their downfall. Why? Because they openly worship Satan. Openly. They had people so asleep, so completely controlled and asleep at the wheel, that they openly worshiped Satan right before everybody's eyes and didn't even hide it. They didn't care. They still don't. You think back to all the things that we've witnessed that go on with symbolism, all the things that you've learned about what symbolism means and how it ties into different really, really bad stuff that has to do with, children and whether you are into a male child or whether you're in a female, you got your own symbol, you got all this stuff. Oh man, it just dawned on me. I didn't even realize this, but you remember yeah. Do you remember that artist Prince? You remember him? You might have heard of him. But it just dawned on me. I mean, he changed his name to a symbol. And Prince, no, I don't know, but it seems to me that he loved God. It did seem that to me, and that maybe he was fed up with the music industry. So what was he maybe showing people a symbol? I don't know, that you can be recognized by a symbol, that something is easy to look at as a symbol could be how you identify people. And maybe that is it. Maybe, I don't know, probably not, but he definitely, I think, didn't like the music industry and what they were about. And he probably definitely witnessed all the everything that happens when you're dealing with that level of corruption. Things that we've learned about recently, things that people always knew about, people that always said, well, you're always going to have pedophilia. You're always going to have that. It's always going to be around. Oh yeah, of course, but you take care and you get rid of the bad people. Man, this is so rampant through people. Like when this shakes out and they figure out and they find out all the people involved in this, and I'm not just talking about like the big names in the levels of government, but when they see it shake out, even in their local areas, it's just going to be devastating. Because there's a market for it, guys. That's the answer. The reason it exists is, sadly, there's a market to watch it or engage in it. There's a market, and that's the reason it is huge. But it has to be ended, and it's going to be ended. I mean, one of the main things of this movement was because of the children, those who can't fight for themselves, those who aren't strong enough to fight for themselves. So they openly worship Satan. Symbolism will be their downfall. This is the proverbial war between good and evil. And you have to pick a side. And I pick good. Pick good. I pick great. I see the redneck prapple. I see Brian Griffin. What's up, Brian? The war of good versus evil. Oh my God. I almost forgot again, but Saturday night when I did my live stream, happy Mother's Day is what I meant to say. at the beginning of that live stream. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. You all are the backbone of society and what makes all of us illogical men who can barely function and tie our shoes. You somehow keep us together. You keep us together, and you manage to keep yourself together and your kids too. And God bless all mothers, my mom, my wife. God bless all mothers, all you mothers out there, because you really are special, and you absolutely, I'm convinced, have an additional chromosome to what they even say. So what do you have? 24 chromosomes. And that chromosome is a little gift that just allows you to keep it all together. So happy belated Mother's Day to all you mothers, but you are not forgotten, believe me. Women are the best. Mothers. There's nothing like mothers. They're the best. Did you guys hear Rand Paul and Anthony Fauci go at it today? Actually, the details about it, Mr. Rand Paul. Respectfully, sir, we didn't take any money. And it's like, no, you did. You absolutely did. You 100% did. Rand Paul dressed him down like a child today, linking the funding that was going to the Wuhan lab. And Dr. Fauci likes to duck and roll and not talk about all the things, the nuances. I don't know. I don't even know. That's probably not Fauci, but I'm trying to do Fauci. And failing miserably in the process. But it doesn't stop the argument, and that's that the funding was completely wired into the Wuhan lab. And furthermore than that, it's not only that the funding was brought in the Wuhan lab, but it was funding these massive, like, viruses that were in the animal world. It was like putting them on like steroids, and they were turning them into an infectious disease that can make a human ill. And they were doing this in the name of science so that they could create this supercell that they could corral. Therefore, if they create it, they could learn how to, and I get it. The reasoning behind it sort of makes sense, except you're taking a disease from an animal that does not exist in mankind, and you are putting it on steroids and hyping it up in order to introduce it so that it can get into people. And so some about that just doesn't seem logical, because oops, what if on the way to walking from lab A to lab B, the guy trips on his lab coat and flings up 3 or 4 of these vials up in the air, and they fall into the sewer, and all of a sudden they're going rampant through the world, and pretty soon people are walking around like that was the point that Rand Paul was making. All Fauci wanted to do is deny the fact that the funding that he was involved in was going over to the Wuhan. It's all he wanted to do is try to denounce it, which he couldn't because the link was there. But furthermore, why are they funding these super viruses in an effort to protect humanity from something that doesn't exist? It's all garbage. And that's the point. And that's why this started out the whole time in the Wuhan lab, as they came out and they said, well, it may be a virus that's involving a bat. Why? Because they were testing with bats. They were putting these diseases that animals carry on steroids. It's not really steroids, but I'm saying that they introduced I'm get this wrong, but maybe the proper genome or whatever to create it so that it can infect human, and then it's got an infectious rate. And but what happens if it gets released? Which in some way, shape, or form is exactly what happened with the COVID illness. I mean, it was essentially released onto America and the world. And the proof is really in what China did with their airlines and their citizens. They didn't allow them to fly in and out of Wuhan and within China, but they allowed everybody to fly out of China into all international business affairs, knowing good and well what was about to be unleashed. Knowing good and well. Remember Dr. Tedros from the CDC also? So once this all came out and everybody found out that it was all BS, that the numbers that came out and they were all bull, they were complete garbage. And what did he say? Everybody was just done with it. And he said, forgiveness. And everybody was like, no. Like it was flat rejected. Everybody's like, no, this is not about forgiveness, man. This is a blatant disregard. And you did it right in front of everybody's eyes. And there were so many people awake that they didn't let him off the hook. And so finally he was like, forgiveness. And everybody was like, me. And now I know that things are feeling like they're going the other way because, as I heard put, the gentleman in the basement who can't get 10 people to his rally, he's putting his faith back into the CDC and the WHO, and they're coming out with their bogus numbers. However, there is one thing: the 6% of COVID-related deaths that they had thought were of the 100% COVID deaths they labeled, only 6% were linked directly to COVID, has now been reduced to 5%. So less than 6. It's 5% now that are actually linked that they died as a result of COVID. And as proper, I mean, guys, it's happening. It's happening. What's up, Linda? Nice to see you. Happy birthday, Grumpy Troll. Nice to see you. You're another day older, and you're definitely another minute wiser because you came here. So happy birthday. Today's your special day. Oh, yeah. Media has Biden at 75%. Yeah, I know. It's just, it's getting to the point of ridiculous. Like, not getting to the point. We passed ridiculous miles back. But, I mean, nobody with 2 brain cells looks at that and goes, there's no 75%. A person that actually got 81 million votes in an election would get 75%, support, which is exactly what I guess they're trying to prove, which they finally understood that, the numbers have to make sense in order for this to make sense. So I guess in some ways I'll give them a little bit of credit. The deep state is that they say, how can he be at like all of these negative views and thumbs downs? And people are supposed to understand they're a little late. The train left, so they're late on this. But I guess I give them I don't give them nothing, but I just look at them and go, oh, okay, I guess you finally understand that the math has to make sense in order for people to gobble your BS. It has to make sense. So, good for them, Linda. Good for them. Unfortunately, the damage has been done. James has Michigan news on flip votes coming out. Yes, absolutely. That is the talk of what's going on in Antrim County. It sounds like we might go through our own audit, forensic audit. That would be good. And as Maricopa goes, the dominoes are going to fall. This is like a very, very light velvet hammer great awakening, because these are just going to be counties, and a county here and a county there and a county here and a county there. And it won't be any one major, the election's overturned. It's just going to be one after another after another. And it's actually, I think that's exactly what it's going to be. And it's going to work out really, really well. I don't know when he gets back in or how he gets back in. I don't know if we have another election, but by the time this is finished, it's going to be very, very clear and evident to everybody awake, and people that aren't. When they're done with this, it's going to be very clear to them that it was stolen, and then the very, very small percentage of people that don't wake up beyond that probably will never wake up. But the people that go out there and riot from the left will absolutely be exposed, because the evidence will be so full that anybody that would riot against it is just a marked person. And maybe, just maybe, that gets into the drop that said uprisings will be quelled quickly. Why? They're going to be very identifiable. They're going to know who they are. By the time this is finished, anybody that's going to rebel against it is just a proven enemy of the United States of America, and therefore is probably guilty of treason or sedition. Probably. I would say maybe even a better percentage than even probably. I mean, it's quite likely, is what it is that these people are all openly committing treason against the United States. And you know what? That's not the easiest words that have ever come out of my mouth as I fumbled on how to process what I was saying. But it's really difficult to think about that there's people that actually did that against the greatest nation in the world because they somehow felt slighted. Which I get that. I mean, we've all been lied to this whole time. I get that. We've all been lied to. But why wouldn't you raise your voice to side with the people that are saying, we've been lied to, let's get our country back? These people are so stupid or brainwashed or both that they would rather continue on and create this enemy and try to push the racism in order to get the overthrowing of the world. They'd rather suppress and denounce white people and shut everything down that has to do with anything, instead of them rising with the awakened patriot mind. And back to the point, getting shoulder to shoulder with us, moving forward in the information where everybody's free. It's crazy. They vote, they show up, and they protest and rally for their own demise, their own prison. They clamor for their own prison. Think about how ridiculous that is. These people are openly fighting for their right to go to prison because they've been fed the wrong information their whole life. I'll tell you, it's just, in part, it's not their fault. It's really not. CAG Hammer. That's right, James. CAG. Keep America great. It's always been great. Now it's even greater. Yep. So back to so if symbolism is their downfall and they openly worship Satan, okay. Now go back to thinking about some of the drops that were brought out to us where they started detailing the families within the global network and the global structure, and the Clintons are nothing. They're not even on the lifeboat to the cruise ship of the wealthiest that are making all the moves and doing that shit. They're big players, but they're not those people. When you hear about people like the Clintons having something like 80 people they did business with that have shown up dead under very, very suspicious circumstances, and you know what they are. I mean, the obvious ones are like when somebody accidentally gets shot twice in the back of their head while their hands are tied behind their back, and it's ruled as suicide. It's that times a bunch of weird, wonky scenarios. Well, those people are evil, and they're looking out for their pocketbook. But now you take it to the new level of corruption and power when you think about people like the Rothschilds. These are people that own castles, and they own manors, and thousands and tens of thousands of acres of land that is their land, that is walled off or fenced off or just not approachable by any means. And on these castles and manors, there's hunting lodges, numerous ones all over the world. They liked hunting a lot. These people were gamesmen. They were out for sport. Them and the people that they brought to their hunting lodge were people of leisure, people of sport. The problem is that kind of money, you're not hunting deer. You're not hunting the great white buffalo. You're not hunting wild turkey. You're not hunting giraffes, lions, bears, or even polar bears. You're not even hunting them polar bears. You're not clubbing baby seals. And you're not taking all the whale blubber off a whale while you make fine perfumes and oils. You're not even doing that. You're hunting people, and it's quite evil. They openly worship Satan. They don't care anything about any of you. None of us. No one person for sure. Probably not even about their elite friends. They don't care about one person. They care about the money, the power, the structure. And then they make occasional appearances and give somebody a big check. And that's how it's done, right? That's how it's done. But the audacity to have a hunting lodge where you hunt people. This society of people that are on this side of what's going on in the plan are irredeemable. They're the real people that are irredeemable. They're not fixable. May God have mercy on their soul. But they're not fixable human beings. They're just not human beings that are redeemable. Maybe they're savable. I know God says that God will save anybody that calls upon the name of Christ and takes him as their savior, that he died for their sins. I know that it says that, but that's not for me to, I guess even have an opinion on. I guess that's the case. It is what it is. So there's that. So that's that. But I just thought it was crazy that they would, take it to that extreme. What does this all mean? I mean, yeah, I talk about the Rothschilds, talk about the symbolism, talk about Anthony Fauci, talk about everybody. What is it? It's them panicking. That's what it is. Everything coming apart at the seams is what this is. I've been excited my last 2 streams. I was really excited. I'm still excited. I'm still happy. But as I take it in and I look at it and I think about it, I'm reminded to myself that, this still is a plan. This still has a timeline that I have no idea of what it is. I don't I don't know. I get excited like you guys over, I like it. The fun part about it is that I really, really think it is what we think it is. I mean, it there's no hint or whiff of this being like, oh, it's not real. It's not this. And the people that come out and say it, I'm sorry, but they are short-sighted thinkers. They are short-sighted thinkers. And they might be brilliant, smart people, but I don't care. You discount the information that ultimately gives you your proof that it is exactly what we're witnessing it is. No matter how brilliant you are. Okay, you ran out of patience trusting the plan. I get that. We're real clear on that. I get that you ran out of patience. But your lack of patience and understanding doesn't make the plan wrong. In fact, the longer this goes on, and it has for quite a long time, it's proven that it is exactly correct. And again, we get to see how it all lands once in the days ahead. We'll see how it lands, right? That's what we'll be doing. Oh, no kidding. They blocked your comment, huh, Brian? The love of money is the root of all evil. The world's richest people worship evil. Yeah, I mean, they definitely don't worship Jesus Christ. They don't, because they don't have it in them. What did we say the other night? I think somebody posted, or we talked about it. They didn't have the word. They didn't talk about God at all in the National Day of Prayer. I mean, there's just no room for it. And I don't know. It's so ridiculous. That goes back to my point is, why aren't they trying to put America back to sleep? I don't understand that still. Do any of you understand why the need to rush this all through? Like, what's the purpose of them reversing everything immediately? Is it blind hatred of Trump that they throw caution to the wind and say, screw you, we're doing it, and we're doing it our way? Is that what this is? Their blind hatred for Trump, that they just do it? Because other than that, it doesn't make sense to me why they do this. Again, why are they not quietly putting America back to sleep? There's something here that I'm not getting. Because it makes no sense to ramp everything up and get all the Trump-loving patriots, get them all stirred up while you sit there and just try to reverse everything while you try to. Is that it? Are they trying to instigate us? They're trying to instigate us. That's it. They're trying to draw us into a civil war. Never mind. Bingo. Yahtzee. They're trying to stir the hive. They're trying to stir up the hive. That's what it is. They'd love nothing more than to piss us off so much that we go out there and start shooting each other. That would be Christmas coming early for the deep state, to get that kind of rage out of some people, especially patriots. Get us out there firing our weapons. Woo! They would have a field day with that. They surely would. They would love that, guys. And that is what they want, but they're not going to get it. At least if they get it, it's going to be in micro doses. They're not going to get it on the heavy. They don't have any traction to get it on the heavy. There's no way they can do it. There's absolutely zero way they can do it, which means they can't do it. So what's the remedy? What does everybody do in the future? I don't know. We stay the course. We stay out in public. We stay out being good patriots and human beings and treating people good. And we wait to let the deep state self-destruct. That's one thing we could take, is that never get in the way of your enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves. How many times was that one said? Never get in the way of your enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves. A lot of times. So the longer this goes on, the longer we stay out of the way of the enemy while they're in the process of destroying themselves. We allow them to do it. We take it in, we wait, we observe, we continue to observe, and then, I don't know. But whatever is going to happen is not going to cause a bunch of patriots to grab whatever weapons they have and charge out in the street and start shooting everything up. That's not the plan. Hey, Mel. Mel's here. You were on a meeting. Now you're here. Now you're on a real meeting, Mel. We've been waiting for you. So welcome to the group, Mel. Mel, this is everybody. So nice to see you, Mel. Thank you for coming. Who you meet? Redneck prepper. So, a word that I would say that I am fairly attached to is optimism. My glass is pretty much it's half full or 3/4 of the way full. Like, I try to look at it on the bright side of stuff, right? And when stuff's not on the bright side and it's really, really bad, it's hard for me to look at stuff on the bright side. But man, there's so much. This continues to come together. Honestly, every day it comes together more and more, and the focus becomes clearer and clearer over what the plan is, which is the destruction of the deep state and the people that enslave us and don't have our best interest in mind. That's what the movement was about destroying, right? The global corrupt agenda. And we're in the middle of it. We're in the throes of it right now. And you're being wide awake and you're going through it. And it is a blessing in so many ways to understand it. It is. It's way better, I think, than being awake or being asleep, or maybe being asleep through all this is just fine, because those people will wake up one day and go, meh, whatever. Okay, I guess we're doing this now. But the people that maybe only like Trump and don't understand the plan, they're losing their marbles. They're, it's Armageddon. It's the end of the world, and it's really not. It's really not. It's not if you understand what you're witnessing, which is a movie. You're watching a movie. It's a well-scripted movie. Takes great actors. And we have the best actors. Suddenly I have an itchy pinky. I don't get that, but okay. Grumpy said there is no plan. There is no deep state. There is us and them. Who is them is what I want to know. And if there is no deep state, I want to know who Anderson Cooper was broadcasting out to when he openly said on the air, Isn't there some kind of deep state that can step in and like take over Trump? I don't pretend that that just fell out of the sky and landed in his mouth. Not Anderson, son of Gloria Vanderbilt Anderson, didn't just accidentally say, isn't there some sort of deep state that can come in and just like take care of this problem? That didn't accidentally fall out of his mouth. And it's not coincidental any more than the thousands of other things that weren't coincidental. So, Grumpy, there is a plan. There is an absolute deep state. And you're right about one thing. It's us and them. This is patriots. This is right versus wrong. This is good versus evil. It's not left versus right or right versus left or men versus women or anybody versus LGBTQRX. It's about good versus evil, and that comes in all shapes and sizes. It's about uniting the patriots, the people that believe in the Constitution. That's the other side of this. This is a fight of morality, but this is about defending and protecting the Constitution of the United States, the one document that ensured that you remained a free man and a free woman under the Constitution of your God-given rights as a United States citizen. And that's what this movement is about. We want people to come into America. We need people to come into America. We need them to come in legally. They have to come in through the port of entry. People always say, well, what about your grandparents? What about your ancestors? They all came into it. They did. And you know what? They all went through the port of entry and they got vetted. They were checked out. They were allowed to come in, which is exactly what we want to have happen. We can't have people bum rush the border and just be allowed and just enter in. And it creates all the other problems that come with that logistically and financially to the American citizen that comes with that. It's ridiculous. It's really, really to the point where it's ridiculous and everybody understands that it's ridiculous. And that's the part that they're not being allowed to get away with any longer. Or at least if they are allowed to get away with it, it's not because people aren't seeing it. And people really are over it. I mean, talk to anybody in everyday life when you're out there in the street and on the road and in the gas station and in the store. People are really over it, man. They are over it. They need one event to happen that makes them go, this is just beyond the point of ridiculous. We just have to change it. Everything just has to change right now. And we're coming there. Where'd you go, Grumpy Troll? I think I scared Grumpy away. I'm sorry. Red Pill, what's up, buddy? Nice to see you. Oh, you know, I was thinking about this too the other day. What a neat support group to be friends with a bunch of patriots who are going through this together. I think that's awesome. I think it's totally cool. All right. Well, I'm glad you did, Red Pill. Take care, brother. Redneck Preppa says the deep state equals the CIA, second government want to be. Yeah, they're one faction for sure, Redneck Prepper of the power structure within the United States, and they are definitely one of them. And there's The CIA is not able to be fixed. It's too corrupt all the way through. So that's one that can't be fixed. But a retooling of maybe the FBI, potentially, possibly. The NSA might be okay. I don't know. But there's policies and procedures that were implemented as a result of the Patriot Act that definitely need to be overhauled throughout all of our three-letter agencies. They have to be. Have to be. And I think that is coming, but it sounds to me like JFK's original idea of abolishing the CIA to 1,000 pieces and scattering it to the wind is definitely what the end game of the plan is going to be. It's definitely going to be. Grumpy, our country and all countries want socialism, also known as communism. That's why there is such continuity. Continuity between all countries. Our country was set up as a deep state. Why do you think Washington, D.C. is a pentagram? Well, I would actually agree with you 100%, Grumpy, but that's where I think maybe you and I kind of, our road forks in some ways, and that's where I put my faith and understanding in the fact that I believe Donald J. Trump was recruited to carry off a military plan that had to do with not allowing exactly what you said, that they wanted socialism and communism. They did. The Fabian socialist regime coming through, they wanted it. They were absolutely doing it. They were trying to rot us out from within. It was, in fact, infiltration instead of invasion. They never had to come to our shores. They never had to drop the U-boats and charge New York and charge Florida and California and Texas. They never had to charge us with their weapons drawn. They didn't, because we were an open and free nation, and we just so happened to have enough shitty people within the congressional elements of our government that were willing to sell out our country, that they were able to infiltrate us, sleeping with the enemy. The enemy is within our own borders and is sleeping, in fact, right through the levels of Congress, and at times right even to the highest position in the United States of America, numerous times. It just so happens it wasn't with Trump. The buck stopped with Trump. It stopped with him. He's the one that came in and said, enough. It's enough. So we agree on everything up until that point. But he, and people will bring this up and say, well, listen, the amount of corruption that man and his entire cabinet exposed, awakening the world to exactly the level of beast corruption that we're watching and dealing with. You can't give me a good enough reason for them to expose all of that would make me say, oh, that makes sense now to why he's selling everybody out. There's no level of corruption. There's no anything that anybody could say that would make me think, why would it be necessary for us to learn all of that stuff we learned about the elites and everything that they've done? And the answer is, the easiest answer is the answer, and it's that they wouldn't. Everybody was so brainwashed and asleep back then. Why wake them up only to what? Dash their hopes? Totally unnecessary. You run the risk of waking something up that will run your ass over and overthrow you. And you don't do that. Not going for global positions of authority. You don't do that. Common sense has to be your guide. And that's what has to let you know that Trump is a different animal from everything that you grew up with and witnessed. He's a different individual, and he's doing a different job. And in the end, we're all going to see it if we don't already, for sure. Grumpy Troll, the redneck prepper. Yes, what you're saying is what we the people think, but I'm referring to what the controllers of society have in mind, and Trump is a Trojan horse guiding their agenda. To what? Maybe you're right, Grumpy. Maybe you're right, but bring the sauce. Why? And to what avail would he expose everything that he's exposed? There's not a good answer for that. It was unnecessary. And if you feel that way, man, I don't care. I mean, we can get along, man. We can be friends. I get it. Bill, do you know what apocalypse means? It means the revealing of truth, and that's part of Trump's job. Why does he have a 66-floor pentagram house on a 58-story building? Well, I don't know. Why don't you tell me why that is? But more importantly, explain to me why. And maybe you'll be like, I don't have to explain this to you, Bill. You should be woke up, you dumbass. Maybe, maybe you need to do more research, and maybe you'll say that. Maybe you will. But everything about the explanation and the answer to that doesn't make any sense. I mean, okay, maybe he was going down that path, Grumpy. Maybe he was. But you have to think about it. They tried to impeach him twice. Why? And they went after him hard. They tried to destroy him from even winning. Do you forget the letters that were given to the Bush family during George Herbert Walker Bush's? George Herbert Walker Bush, he's part of the Bush. He had to die. George Herbert, he had to die. And he did. And the look on the face of Jeb. That wasn't acting. That was a man that saw something that was like, what the fuck? There's a lot of it. There's a lot of it. And these are just little ones that are coming to me right at the top of my head. I mean, that's not what's happening. It's impossible. And again, to my point, maybe he was into some stuff, He did talk about with Billy Bush, he talked about these girls, they just come right up to you. Yeah, you don't even have to do anything. They come right up to you grab them by the panazzi. We didn't hire the moral authority to be the president of the United States. He's not the Pope. We hired a businessman to straighten things out, straighten out our country. And we hired a guy that knew how to get things moving the right direction. He was recruited to do the job. John McCain put to death. How do you explain that? John McCain coming in thinking that they had the vote to get rid of Obamacare, comes in smiling the way he does, gives a thumb down. What is that? That's all the drama? That's all drama for the court? That's all drama for the theater? These people didn't like each other. They hated Trump. They violently tried to get him out of there and caused riots all over the United States in an effort to get rid of him. So Grumpy, respectfully, why don't you look at it from both sides of the facts? We see Trump for all the beautiful, wonderful things he did, and you look at him and go, see everything he did. He's terrible, and he's a turncoat and all that. But it doesn't make sense to me at all. Like all the level of corruption that was exposed. I just don't get it. Maybe I never will. I could be just a mental midget. I probably am. Oh. Yeah, Red Pill says, what are the Obamas, Clintons, and the rest of the turds in the swamp? Neighbors of Mr. Rogers? No, but they are neighbors. Well, again, you have my attention, Grumpy. I'd love to know what lies. I really don't see, like, people can always say, well, Trump, he always lies about this and lies. Listen, the man generalizes about a lot of things. He makes points. He does this. Millions and millions of people do this. Oh, he lied. It's not millions and millions. It's hundreds. It's hundreds. And he said millions. Believe me, they have chalked those types of things up, all saying Trump lies. Oh, he does lies about everything. Literally hundreds of people. It wasn't hundreds. It was thousands. Oh, he got it wrong the other way. It's all about what they can paint the perception to you. If they want him to be a bad person, they're going to do it. They're going to totally do it. Yeah, God bless George Carlin. It's a big fucking club. You ain't in it. But respectfully, Carlin wrote that bit before Trump was on the national or on the global stage as the president. And I'm going to tell you something. I think Trump, from a standpoint of watching how he was as a president, was probably criticized or at least watched as hard as anybody by me. And I don't mean that as any kind of like I'm anything. I'm nothing. But if I would have smelled any hint of him being deep state, like they hated his ass. They hated his ass. Came at him so viciously. Acosta had to be bounced for a little bit of time out of the White House. No matter who you are, that's not normal behavior, especially people that are supposed to be, in your opinion, grumpy, working together. They're not working together. They hate his ass because he is about to turn the chessboard upside down on them and wreck everything that they got going on. And they hate his ass for it. When he told the story about the snake, when he reads that story, he's reading it to the deep state. Why'd you open the door? You knew I was a snake. In other words, I don't play ball with you people. You knew the day would come. Trump even said it. I knew the day would come. It was only a matter of time when I would come back and I would give back to the country that has given so much to me and that I feel so strongly about. That's, in my opinion, what's going on. So, Grumpy, I sure appreciate you coming, though, and you bring your voice and you're pretty respectful. And I think we all like you, but we just don't agree, and that's okay, too. But, all right, guys, 1 hour and 3 minutes. I appreciate you guys coming out. I can't believe it's already been an hour, but you guys are awesome people. Continue the fight. Continue to pray. Continue to keep Scott and Joe in your prayers and all your friends and the country, and definitely President Trump, because I think he's about to come back bigger, stronger, and better than ever. And nowhere to go but up, up, up for all of us. So, all right. God bless you all. And I will see you guys, God willing, on Saturday, I guess. I guess we'll try this and see if it works. But I love you guys. Have a good night. Bye.